Welcome aboard the BK Escape Pod. That's right, it's the augmented and bionic podcast version of the live show you can hear Saturdays from 10 a.m. till 12 p.m. Eastern on 100.3 FM and AM 1450 WBHF Radio. You can stream the show live there Saturdays at WBHFradio.org or on the free Tunein app. Look out, here we go.
Stand by to receive our transmission.
It's BK on the air here. I know that doesn't mean much when you're hearing on the podcast. Good morning, unless you're listening to the podcast.
You could just say hello
in the morning. I know, but I forget. You know, I'm live, so I talk about live stuff. So.
Are you? Are you really?
I am as live as you can get.
Well, could be one of those creative plugins.
It could be a double or a.
Could be BK 2.0.
Are you saying that'd be a better version of what I am?
Well, at least you would only say what I type in.
You're getting 1.0, buddy. I ain't no upgrades. It's BK on the air on AM 1450 and 100.3 FM WBHF and on the TuneIn radio app and on all those apps that I put the podcast up on too, SoundCloud and Anchor and YouTube out there. Today I want to try to give an escape valve, pressure valve, to let the pressure out on people that might need something fun to listen to. I don't know why.
Sorry.
I don't know why anyone would need that right now.
Who needs a distraction?
I mean, just from forget what happened this week, whatever side you're on, everybody's biting their nails, but just 2020 in general, everything just going on. But,
look, I can't help it. Sean Connery died.
I know, and see that too. And we got a story coming up today too. That's the tributes came out all week from all the Bond actors who are still around that played Bond. And talk about pressure valve escape. Did you ever grow up and have? I got a memory. Look out! I'm flashbacking here. Some people have Vietnam ones. I have childhood ones. My grandmother would cook with a pressure cooker in the kitchen when I was a kid, and I don't know if you ever been around
those old-fashioned ones that could be turned into bombs. Yeah.
When they had this big steel tank-looking thing on the stove
lids
and it's going. And it's going crazy, and the steam's blowing out of the top, and it's got a gauge on it, and they all tell the kids, stay away from this. Don't get close to this.
Don't go anywhere in the kitchen.
And as a kid, you're right. You thought maybe that's a bomb. They don't want me to go close to that because it might blow up and take everybody with us, and we won't have pressured chicken or potatoes or whatever they're cooking in there. We're just going to have scattered remains all over the place. That's what I want to be. I want to open that pressure valve just a little bit today and have some fun and talk about
ease
some
it
stuff
up a little bit
and let some of that pressure out that you might be feeling coming up on the show. And I'll talk about that for a minute because I got a story coming up. I have one more Sean Connery story I want to talk about because he did pass away. It kind of hit us quick last week when we were on the air. It kind of happened.
It happened while we were talking.
Yeah, and we're like, well, I don't think we explored it as much as we should or talked it out because we're both big fans of everything the guy did, and he was James Bond, and we're certainly fans of the James Bond franchise. Sean Connery they had a remake of, and I got a pet peeve too, by the way, coming up that I want to talk about regarding people who record things on either video or podcast. Remind me to tell you about that.
I record things.
It's a technical complaint.
Technical
things they do where I'm like, why do you do that?
Okay.
And it has something to do with hearing what they say. And I bet you know what I'm talking about when we get to it. The movie Thunderball, I can't remember the guy who, Kevin McElroy or something, wrote the screenplay to that one Bond movie. And you know that's the one Bond script that Eon, MGM Productions that put James Bond together does not own the copyright to. He kept that himself for some reason. Why that happened, maybe it was just a business deal or whatever. That's why they were able to make Never Say Never Again in 1983.
Which is basically
with
Thunderball.
Sean Connery, which is actually
2.0.
the Thunderball script, They're actually able to do that. And they,
Hold on. Kim Basinger swimming.
Still Kim Basinger.
Still Kim Basinger.
Because she was in, my wife watched those horrible movies.
Okay.
My wife watched those horrible movies, the 50 Shades of Grey movies, those terrible films they were made.
Horrible.
She's in one of those.
Is she really?
It was pretty recent, and she still really looks great, I can't say anything about it. the Thunderball script is still owned by the screenwriter, I think. And believe it or not, Eon tried to sue them. MGM tried to sue them in '83 to keep them from making that one with Sean Connery, but they weren't successful because they didn't own the rights to it. But they did tell them, number one, how long has it been since you've seen Never Say Never Again?
It's been a little while.
You've seen it though.
Yes. Oh, many times.
They're like, you can make
times.
You can make this Bond film, but you can't have the Bond theme in it. You don't own that. You can't use the James Bond music. You can't open with the gun barrel sequence at the beginning. That's copyrighted. You can't do that. And there's other things you can do and can't do, but that's it. And that film does not have any of that in it, but it's still a James Bond film, not an official one, by Eon Productions, but it is.
Right. You know why they called it that, right? Because Sean Connery said, "I'm never doing James Bond again."
Well, and it was James Bond. It was Sean Connery's wife that actually came up with that, and I think she said something to do with that too. They were going to remake it again a few years ago after Timothy Dalton had stepped down, and they approached Timothy Dalton and says, "We're going to remake this again and call it Warhead and make it another James Bond movie. It's just another remake of Thunderball, Never Say Never Again." And they wanted Timothy Dalton, again, a past Bond, to come back and play him, and it fell apart and it didn't get made. So it's funny that one script is out there that they don't own the rights to. Well, that movie, Never Say Never Again, directed by Irving Kershner, Empire Strikes Back, Irving Kershner, which I thought, and I catch heck for this with Bond fans, and I'm one of the biggest Bond fans you'll ever meet, but I find myself watching Never Say Never Again more than I do Thunderball.
Oh, yeah.
Well, Thunderball wasn't one of my favorite Sean Connery films, and I don't know why, because it's extremely popular with the fans, and it had a big opening, it was very successful, but I don't know why. Thunderball has it's got a long running time, and to me it's just not one of the best, but if it's one of your favorites, then that's fine. There's no wrong answer. It's just
I've always loved the thing that I gravitated toward as a kid was the underwater, and James Bond movies early there was always the mass battle sequence at the end where the soldiers of the good guys and the soldiers of the bad guys. Right. So there's all this carnage, and yet you've got the spy mission still happening.
Right.
I loved that, and to see an underwater spear gun fight, I'm like,
and they were all in,
and then they redid it in
both
Moonraker.
Sides are in different color, too. The bad guys were the good guys wearing orange.
The bad guys.
You got to pick them
when
out.
You're playing your first-person shooter, you want to know who the bad guy is.
Yeah, exactly. So great. But the story I've got coming up is an actress named Barbara Carrera played Fatima Blush. In Never Say Never Again. And
who was your greatest love?
Delicious as her. She's so great. She chews it up, which is great. Well, I've got a whole story about her.
There was this woman. She goes, "You know it was me."
There was this girl in Philadelphia. She's like, "No, it was me." There's a classic example of Bond playing on the villain's ego to get the upper hand on the villain. Right. It's fantastic.
Loved it.
And she winds up blowing up. And if you haven't seen it, she blowed up real good. So I've got a story about her. She talked about Sean, shared a lot of scenes with him in Never Say Never Again. I got that story coming up about her reminiscing about Sean Connery, and it's a fantastic piece too. And one of the main actors from the Fantastic Beasts has been asked to step down, basically resign. He was fired, but he was kindly asked to resign his position at that franchise, and we'll talk about that too coming up. And if you like Star Trek, and who doesn't? Well, some people don't, but if you listen to this show, you know I love it. About the red shirts being the main, how they fell like drop like flies on the old TV show. Oh, he's wearing a red shirt, he's going to die. All the red shirts die all the time. That may not necessarily be true. I got a story where someone's actually checked that fact out. And a lot of interesting things there. And Oreo Cookies built a doomsday vault to protect cookies from an asteroid. I didn't know that. We got that as a separate story. We'll flash the audience of the news that Britain Strangers are. I love the look on your face right now, by the way, which is great. All of that coming up. It's Peaky on the Air. Bye.
We'll return after these messages.
Only one man could destroy a Caribbean island. Only one man would drive a car with an ejection seat. Only one man can turn off an atomic bomb, blow up a volcano, hold a helicopter in a suitcase, a rocket on his back, artillery in one hand, and a beautiful woman in the other. Only one man.
Who are you?
My name is Bond. James Bond.
He's back. Sean Connery as James Bond, 007, in Ian Fleming's Diamonds Are Forever. He's back in the diamond fields of South Africa, in the casinos of Las Vegas, on an offshore drilling rig, and 180 miles in space. Sean Connery as James Bond is back, and he's bigger than ever in the newest, greatest Bond adventure of them all.
Diamonds are forever.
Diamonds Are Forever. From United Artists, rated GP. May contain material not suitable for pre-teenagers. Diamonds Are Forever, 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 forever.
Premiering Friday after Wonder Woman, it's the all-new Incredible Hulk. A radiation experiment has unleashed the ultimate mutation, turning David Banner into a superhuman beast whenever he becomes angered. Bill Bixby stars in The Incredible Hulk, premiering Friday at 9, 8 Central and Mountain.
And now, back to the guy who secretly thinks J.J. Abrams did the best job with any Star Trek movie, but he'll never admit it. It's BK on the Air.
Greetings, fellow classic TV fans. The Bionic Woman aired on ABC from 1976 to 77 and on NBC in 78 for a total of 58 episodes. Beginning as a two-part episode of The $6 Million Man, Steve Austin's love interest, tennis pro Jamie Summers, starred the talented Lindsay Wagner. Although the character was scripted to die off from her body's rejection of the bionic implants, due to its high ratings response, ABC soon discovered they had a potential new series on their hands. After being directed by the network to bring Jamie back to life, the writers made it a simple fact that she had never actually died in the first place. And as a result of the character's permanent memory loss, they were able to easily separate the storyline from that of the $6 Million Man. Reportedly, this was to be Wagner's final role on her Universal contract. But the popular series response created not only a superheroine and American sweetheart, but also a new international star. The Bionic Woman gained success in the U.S., ranking at one point as the 5th highest viewed show on television. But in the U.K., it was a smash. It marked the very first sci-fi series during the 20th century to hit #1 in their ratings. At its high point in Britain, it was estimated that 14 million viewers tuned in per week. With an illustrious career having appeared in 17 theatrical films and up to 80 television films and series, The Bionic Woman earned Lindsay Wagner 2 Golden Globe nominations in 77 and 78, and an Emmy win for Best Actress in a Dramatic Role in 1977. In 1984, the often referred to Queen of TV received her much-deserved star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. This is Pat McCormick with your Retro TV Trivia from the Golden Rage of TV. You can also find me on YouTube and Facebook at Golden Rage of TV and on Twitter at Golden Rage of TV1. And now back to BK on the air.
And who didn't make the bionic sound? If you had a, you didn't even have to have an action figure with the Bionic Man and the Bionic Woman. You just made that noise when you moved slow, and you knew that you were being bionic as a kid.
It's like, how do you not make the lightsaber noise? It's the same thing. Yeah,
or
growing
the
up,
pew pew laser noise when you're shooting the laser guns. Yeah,
you're running.
Yeah. Well, we had a little problem with Ewan McGregor doing it on set, from what I heard.
He's not the only one.
He's great. So
not the only one.
Fantastic show. It's amazing that the show was on the Bionic $6 Million Man was on ABC, and then the Bionic Woman was on NBC, and they would cross over from time to time. And Oscar was in both shows on 2 different networks. I still don't know why ABC didn't pick that show up. Thank you, Pat, for that walk into the Golden Rage of TV. By the way. And
you think they're ever going to make that Mark Wahlberg revisit of the $6 billion man?
I don't know. I keep hearing about that. I know right now that it's probably off due to COVID. Just they're got everything on hold.
Right.
Some things have started back on production, but I don't think that's really high on their priority list at Universal, whoever owns that property right now. It would be nice to see them if they do a serious take on it and do it well, because as we know, sometimes they can actually do remakes pretty good. Like with The Mummy and the Equalizer. Some remakes of TV and older horror films and stuff do pretty good. Some of them are bad, too, by the way. We won't mention, unless we mention Tim Burton's Planet of the Apes, the better, and some others. But yeah.
Did you ever see that Mark Wahlberg movie on Netflix that it was basically a reboot of Spencer for Hire?
No, I didn't. I heard of it. What was it called?
It was something like that.
I remember it. I remember the one about. Wasn't he then the one about the Boston bombings? And he worked for the police department trying to prove that. That was really good. I really liked that. I can't remember what it was called. But that was great. And I like him. I like
Mark Wahlberg a lot.
He's a good actor.
I thought it was a fun movie. I watched it. My wife and I together. We were like a little predictable, but it was still fun. Right. It popped. It moved along. It felt like you took a TV script and made it into a movie for Netflix.
It up to the cinema.
And the rumor was they were going to make 2 or 3 more of them if it was well received. So I would like to see more of them. I thought it was cool to see sort of the show launch maybe a mini movie franchise on Netflix. The straight to streaming, where it still feels like a TV show, but it's like a well-funded TV show.
Right. Got a little money thrown at it. Yeah. Like Mission Impossible, with Tom Cruise. I do like talking about Spencer for Hire. I never did get to watch that show, but I know the guy that played on the show with him, Avery Brooks, went on to play the commander in Star Trek Deep Space Nine, Commander Sisko. And his show, he spun off a show called Hawk. Remember? It was short-lived, but it was from Spencer for Hire. He had his own show there for a little while. I don't think it lasted very long. But, yeah, I tell you one that I really liked that I had doubts about. When I saw the trailer and heard they were making – because I was a big fan of The Equalizer on CBS with Edward Woodward. Have trouble? Call The Equalizer. Need some help? Are you the underdog?
That's a
Somebody
show I
bullying
want to
you
go
or
back
stuff?
and binge.
It was great. I have the entire show. I really loved The Equalizer when it was on. You couldn't. You know why they couldn't do that show today? Because it stars a man in his mid to late 60s. And they just don't put people in those leading roles as that kind of character anymore, which is really unfortunate. It was a great show. He was the one that, you're down and out, call the Equalizer. Somebody owes you money, and the cop's not helping, call the Equalizer, call this number, and he would come and help you out. What was funny is he kind of was a James Bondish character on there because the Equalizer he did carry on the TV show a Walter PPK. And had a little. I think at one point he drove a Jaguar, but he drove the.
No, did he have a British accent?
Oh yeah, Edward Woodward was an Irish.
I just didn't know if he spoke with an American accent because I never watched the show.
He had a English/Irish accent. It was mostly English because if you hear Edward Woodward act, it's English. But when he's talking to you in an interview.
Gotcha.
It's kind of like with Pierce Brosnan. His Irish peeks out sometimes in some of his interviews. I think he's trained it not to. But I was surprised by the movie Equalizer with
Denzel Washington.
I'm like, they did such a good job with remaking this show. Even while keeping the feeling of the old show.
There are some movies that they're not the best movies, but when Denzel's in it, it's worth watching for him.
He's grown on me. I don't know if I was a big fan of his when he first came out, but when I saw him in Glory, the Civil War film, and some of the other things
that put him on the map.
It was fantastic. That's me. That was me with several actors. I was that way with Billy Zane. Wasn't a big Billy Zane fan. I'd see him in something like, it's Billy Zane again. But when he played the Phantom, it was a superhero, arguably. But when he did the Phantom and a couple other roles, I really recognized him. I was never a Matt Damon fan. Matt Damon was, to me, only okay. He's all right. He's okay. But when I saw, it turned it around for me. Sometimes it only takes one role for me to turn me around and be a fan of this person. When I saw Matt Damon in the True Grit remake as the soldier.
Really?
He disappeared. I'm like, that's Matt Damon? He's fantastic in this. He's great. Oh, look, I'm finally realizing he is a good actor. It took me a while, but...
he's in one of the Marvel movies, uncredited.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, yeah. And if you know which one it is, call us and tell us. 770-386-1450 is our number. Oh, somebody's on the line right now. It's BK on the air. Hello, good morning. Who's this?
Hello, it's Eric.
Oh, you're calling early today. Did you get up just for me, early?
No, I was provoked.
You were provoked. What did I provoke you on this time? Was this what did I get wrong?
Now, you got the name of the Hawk spinoff that Avery Brooks did wrong.
Oh, what was it called?
It was called A Man Called Hawk.
Oh, well,
okay.
Sorry, I did say the name Hawk, but yeah, you're right. It was A Man Called Hawk. Well, that's good. Okay.
Well, I thought BK was more general and said the Hawk series.
Yeah, the Hawk series. I didn't say that's what it was called. So
right.
People get it confused.
Yeah,
people get confused with other things.
That's true. At least I didn't say that he died when he's really alive still.
Right.
I
nobody would do that. That was worth listening to.
Yeah, that's right. Hello?
Y'all done yet?
Yeah, we're done.
Yeah, we're done. Go ahead.
And Alan?
Yes, sir.
The Spencer movie you were talking about is Spencer Confidential.
Spencer Confidential. Yeah, I couldn't remember the name. I just said it was the.
And it will be a trilogy.
That's what they said, but I don't know.
Sure it is now.
Now, I've heard Mark Wahlberg is working on another remake, but I'm not happy about it.
You're not talking about $6 Million Man, are you?
No. T.J. Hooker.
Oh, T.J. Hooker, the Shatner TV show. I didn't even know that was in the works. Really?
I don't. I've heard it. I hope it's a lie.
I hope it's a lie.
But you know what? Maybe why do we hope it's a lie? Because would you agree with me? Did you ever watch the Equalizer television show on TV with Edward Woodward? Did you watch it?
Yes.
Did you or did you not like the Denzel Washington movie remake? I thought it was great. Come on, you can admit if something's okay. We won't discount you for that.
It was okay.
It was only okay. Wow. Okay.
It was okay. I mean, because they didn't dive into Denzel's backstory, which they should have. But
that'd make a good movie title, by the way. Dive into Denzel. I love that. That would sound great. Well, come on now. Wait a minute. What if they called it something else other than the Equalizer with Denzel Washington? Would you have liked it better?
No.
Okay. So the fact that it's a remake of an old TV show is not what ruins it for you.
Yeah, no.
Okay. Now, I'm the kind of guy, you know me, I'm the kind of guy that I love the original stuff, but when they remake something and it's good and I really like it, I will tell you,
Now, I'm going to go here, and a lot of people going to give me flack for this, but the Equalizer was an old white guy.
Yeah, British white guy.
And it just stayed that way.
Well, okay. I mean, I don't think that it changed much.
I mean, they could have got Patrick Stewart.
True. I don't know that it changed much, changing his complexion for the role. I don't think it changed much.
No, I appreciate what Eric's saying, though.
I'm sorry, y'all, but I'm not sorry.
No, you know what? I appreciate what you're saying because I get in this discussion a lot with, well, shouldn't we update James Bond? Well, James Bond is a character that has lived in a novel and in a book and in movies as a specific kind of character. You can tell another spy movie.
That way.
Right.
What?
It stayed that way, even though I said Idris Elba could do it.
Right.
It should just stay that way. I'm sorry.
That's very true.
I don't disagree with you.
These things alone. Well, I'm hoping this thing with Mark Wahlberg and T.J. Hooker's a lie, though.
Well, if T.J. Hooker's made into a film and it's good and it's entertaining, that's fine. I'll watch it. I don't know if it will be, but I love the TV show. So, coming up on
Eric, I'll leave you with this. I like Mark Wahlberg, but I also like anything Antoine Fuqua does. I think he's a fun director.
He is, yes.
And so that's why I like The Equalizer. It's a fun movie.
Thanks for calling, buddy. Always good to hear from you.
No problem.
Yeah. We love you from BK on the air.
I knew when they made The Equalizer, we weren't going to get a deep thinking drama piece. That's not what we were getting.
But despite all that, it was still a really good, entertaining movie.
It was
Second one, not so much, but okay.
So good.
You're right. It's BK on the air.
I believe in the old things, you know. Family, friendship, fairness. That's what this country's all about. Taking it to the edge. Laying it all on the line. I watch your tail. You watch mine. I value human life. Hey, we're all on the same side.
T.J. Hooker. He's with you.
We're with you on ABC. With you.
Super Slurpee. Now at 7-Eleven. It's the biggest, boldest, coldest Slurpee to ever quench a thirst. It's the 32-ounce Super Slurpee. And now, 7-Eleven has a fantastic summer offer. Every Super Slurpee comes in a free plastic Superman 4, the Quest for Peace Movie Collector's Cup. 8 in all. 32 ounces of Super Slurpee and Superman 4 Movie Collector's Cups. Only at today's 7-Eleven.
I think it's cool that we've been kind of a part of that.
We are part of it.
Time tradition. Which
we are
nice.
We are award-winning parts of the Georgia Association of Broadcasters.
Radio being that, and this station being on the air constantly since 1946. That's a little.
That's pretty
nice
cool
thing to talk about. I mean, that's older than some people that I know. By the way, I have a story here from this is from the BBC News, and Alan, you said you hadn't heard about this morning, so I'm going to do the story right now. Johnny Depp has been asked to leave the Fantastic Beasts film franchise by Warner Brothers.
Foot's off the bag. You're out of there.
Nicely fired. You know, when they come to you and go, we'd appreciate it if you'd just resign, and if you don't, we're going to fire you.
Look, you can choose to go out under your terms.
We've been told that before.
Or ours. You're going out.
Johnny Depp has left the Fantastic Beasts film franchise days after losing a libel case over a newspaper article which called him, this is their words, not mine, a wife beater. In a letter to fans, Depp said he had been asked to resign from his role as Grindelwald and had respected and agreed to that request. He called the libel judgment surreal and confirmed his plans to appeal. Film studio Warner Brothers confirmed Depp's departure and said his role would be recast. Quote, "We thank Johnny for his work on the films to date," unquote, it said in a statement. Now, Depp, who is 57 years old, had sued the publisher of the Sun newspaper over a 2018 article which claimed he assaulted his ex-wife Amber Heard. Earlier this week, Judge Mr. Justice Nichol ruled the Sun had proved the article to be substantially true. In his letter posted on Instagram, Depp said the judgment would not change my fight to tell the truth. Here's his statement in full. Quote, "In light of recent events, I would like to make the following short statement. Firstly, I'd like to thank everyone who has gifted me with their support and loyalty. I have been humbled and moved by your many messages of love and concern, particularly over the last few days. Secondly, I wish to let you know that I have been asked to resign by Warner Brothers from my role as Grindelwald in Fantastic Beasts, and I have respected that and agreed to that request. Finally, I wish to say this. The surreal judgment of the court in the UK will not change my fight to tell the truth, and I confirm that I plan to appeal. My resolve remains strong, and I intend to prove that the allegations against me are false. My life and career will not be defined by this moment in time. Thank you for reading. Sincerely, Johnny Depp." So there's his message about the whole thing. He made a brief appearance as Grindelwald in 2016's Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them, and reprised the role in 2018's Fantastic Beasts: The
Much
Crimes
bigger in the
of
second.
Grindelwald.
Yeah.
Yes,
The
the films
Grindelwald.
are prequels to the 8 Harry Potter films, as we well know, which are based on the novels by J.K. Rowling. According to Warner Brothers, the third film in the series is currently in production and will be released in summer of 2022. I wonder if they'll have a production problem, or they may have not filmed his scenes yet, I guess. Maybe they knew that ahead of time and were just filming stuff without him.
I don't know.
And then he kept going. But it says they're still on track. Monday's judgment followed a trial that was heard over 16 days in July at the Royal Courts of Justice in London. I guess, did the incident take place in England? I guess it did.
It was reported he was suing the paper for
that's right,
libel.
suing the paper. That's right. That makes sense. It would help if I remember that, because I did read it in the article. Mr. Depp is suing Mrs. Heard.
You're just saying words. We know you don't pay attention.
Well, that's true, yeah. And I got Amber Heard in my head.
Well,
that's throwing
there are worse
me off
things
too,
to have.
by the way. Yeah, Mr. Depp is suing Mrs. Heard, 34, in the U.S. in a separate case over an opinion piece she wrote in the Washington Post. So that's some kind of a little bit of disturbing news in the world of Harry Potter films. By the way, she was one of the best things, I thought, about the Aquaman movie. So I found myself staring at her through the whole
In general, Grindelwald is the forerunner to Voldemort. He was the nastiest, meanest, baddest wizard.
Right.
What's wrong with having a wife beater in that role?
I don't know. I mean,
didn't that kind of go?
I mean, you cast Robert Downey Jr.
Sorry, we don't want to get to alleged.
You cast Robert Downey Jr. as an alcoholic superhero, and he's had problems with it before. So sometimes the casting may work out.
I mean, just draw on your own life experiences.
We are just kidding, by the way. But yeah, you're right.
Grindelwald.
That's nice.
If you watch the beginning of the second movie when he escapes Azkaban, it's amazing.
That's probably the best thing out of both movies. When I saw the second one and the first
you're,
part
you're
of that,
a lot harsher on them
I
than
am not. I don't hate them. I just think that they're really, really, and it's not. I don't think it's because it's not Harry Potter, because I can enjoy spin-offs and sidequels and sequels just like any other person. But I'm just not a big. I'm not a big fan of those films. I don't find myself thinking I really need to go back and watch those Fantastic Beasts movies over and over like I do the Harry Potter films. I mean, I don't know why. It just didn't.
Part of it's probably because we're not sure where they're going yet with them.
I didn't know where Harry Potter was going when I first saw it, and I was hooked immediately.
Yeah, but by the time you saw it, they had several out. I mean,
right? But I still had to like
the first one. By that point, the phenomenon was there. Yeah, true.
Yeah, so I had to.
I really enjoy them. I think the music is phenomenal. I think the storyline is great.
Oh yeah.
I get lost in them.
There's nothing bad about the way they directed, because they're directed by Harry Potter director that directed a couple of Harry Potters anyway.
The last 3 of the movies.
So I'm not. It's just the story and the whole. And I hate that I don't like them that much, because I was always wondering, watching Harry Potter, I'm like, well, what's the wizard world like in America? And then we find out. I'm like, I don't even think it's that interesting as the one that Harry Potter has. But they're still successful. I think the first one made over $1 billion. And I'm not sure about the second one's tally, but I think it was very successful as well. They're going to do another one. I've still heard stories, which I hope is true, because I'd like to revisit that world again, of Harry and Hermione and them coming back for a movie that's set in the age they are now,
right?
Maybe with their kids again doing something, but to see them together again, I just got really used and fun to seeing those guys together again, because they were so fun to watch. They melded so well together. They were such great characters. That's like some of the Marvel characters. I know now that probably Chris Evans and Robert Downey Jr. are gone, and I'm still going, I really love those guys. I love those characters. But but that Marvel universe is continuously morphing and changing and evolving, and we've got 2 Marvel movies, on the way. Big ones are several more on the way, but one for sure next year. And you got Thor coming out with Love and Thunder. I saw that Shanghai, the Master of Kung Fu, is started production on that. So they got a lot of even more different characters coming out now that aren't like your regular fare.
Well, I will say the best thing the Harry Potter franchise did is show the adult versions of themselves at the very end of the last, technically the 7th book, but 8th movie.
Right.
That was an awesome way to end the franchise. At least that first group. Yes. I loved them.
And on that platform. And you're right. It was a perfect, even last shot of the film on their faces, and it just faded out right there, and that was it, because they've all come together. They survived and defeated evil in a way. So that's how I hope our life turns out. That'd be great, wouldn't it?
Mommy, I want a drink. Mommy, can I have a glass of juice, please? Give me some milk. I'm thirsty. Give me a glass of anything.
Wouldn't it be nice if your children could get their own drinks without interrupting you? With a Dixie kitchen dispenser, they can. And your kitchen won't be cluttered with between-meal glasses to wash. Get Dixie, the kitchen cup that lets kids help themselves. And that can be a big help to you.
Mommy, I got my own juice. Now can I have peanut butter sandwich?
Dragon's Lair, the fantasy adventure where you become a valiant knight on a quest to rescue the fair princess from the clutches of an evil dragon. You control the actions of a daring adventurer finding his way through the castle of a dark wizard who has infested it with treacherous monsters and obstacles. In the mysterious caverns below the castle, your odyssey continues against the awesome forces that oppose your efforts to reach the Dragon's Lair. Lead on, adventurer. Your quest awaits.
By the way, I've been corrected off the air. Eric called off the air and said it's Shang-Chi, not Shang-Chi, Master of Kung Fu, the Marvel character. Yes, he's correct. So I made another little faux pas on that. Or is it faux pas? I don't know. Now I don't know what to say. You know, I don't know what to say. I'm glad I'm not part of the news organization and the newsroom because they have to get everything right all the time, and I'd be terrible at that. Hence why I don't work for the news department. So
I'm looking forward to that show, Sangria Tea.
Sangria, the master of Kung Fu.
The master of berry-flavored beverages.
I wonder if the lead actor died, though. No, I think he's still alive. Hope someone doesn't report that he's dead before he's...
Always got to have one person out there that's got to point out every possible
and you know what?
thing
He does,
you may
man.
say
he
wrong.
keeps us on track.
It's always fun.
I mean,
I
I
love it. I already have one wife. I don't need another.
What the heck? Why can I not find anything? I know.
I don't, because
you've
lost your mind.
We'll do it later. I think it's still in the car. I'll go check at the next break.
What she got on? Her mind.
Thank you, Snowman. 770-386-1450. If anybody wants to call and correct me on something else, sure, just correct BK Day today. Well, you know, last weekend it really hit us kind of off guard when a beloved James Bond actor did pass away.
How reckless of me. I made you all wet.
Yes, but my martini's still dry. My name's James.
Hello, James. I'm Fatima Blush.
You ski very well.
I do many things very well. Bring you to Nassau, James.
I'm fishing.
For what?
Anything I can get.
I know the best waters. I'd be very happy to show them to you.
Now, why would you want to do that?
I'd like you to find what you're looking for.
I'm all yours.
Yeah, there's a little Sean Connery from Never Say Never Again with Barbara Carrera, who plays Fatima Blush. Fatima Blush, the femme fatale. Most of the Bonds have a femme fatale. Some of them have male fatales, which are the male killer. But I think it's much more interesting when the femme fatale is in the James Bond movies because, I don't know, they're just female femme fatales, and I like watching them a little bit better. This is from Stephanie Nolasco from Fox News. Sean Connery was an absolute great kisser, recalls Bond girl Barbara Carrera. The actress who starred alongside the late Scottish actor. To me, I still can't get around and get used to saying the late Scottish actor. Right there in 1983's Never Say Never Again. She told Fox News that she has fond memories of sharing the screen with Connery, especially when it came to filming their kissing scene. Quote, he was an absolute great kisser, the 74-year-old chuckled. Everything that has been said about him is true. But he was also a gentleman, she continued, and you knew his wife was on set at all moments. He was very vigilant. So the idea of stealing kisses did not occur to us, but the scene was so sacred, so pure, it was so special to me, unquote. However, locking lips with James Bond wasn't always simple. Quote, I remember we were filming our kissing scene, recalled Carrera. We looked up, and there was his wife staring right back at us. It took us right out of the scene, so Sean had her taken off the set. Would we be able to do that if
No.
we were on a movie? We laughed about that a lot after filming was over. She had a great sense of humor, his wife, and about the whole thing, unquote. Carrera said she was initially offered to star. I did not know this. She was initially offered to star in 1983's Octopussy opposite Roger Moore's 007, which that was the movie that came out the same year that was competing with Never Say Never Again. That was the official MGM film. However, when she heard that Connery was poised to appear in an upcoming film about the suave secret agent, she turned down the part in that film, even if it meant taking a smaller role. I wonder if they wanted her to play Maud Adams' role in Octopussy. I wonder if that's
that would have to be what it was,
because that would be a bigger role. Connery initially promised to never play Bond again, as he was eager to take on different roles. However, he was lured back by an offbeat script about a middle-aged 007. Connery took the role and helped produce the film. The result was Never Say Never Again, a title actually suggested by his wife, because at one point he said he would never play James Bond again. Quote, "The minute I learned Sean Connery was coming back to do another Bond film, I just knew I had to do it," said Carrera. "It was a film that everyone really wanted to see, so I agreed to do it without thinking twice, without ever seeing a script. I just wanted to work with my hero. He was James Bond. He was the one I grew up with, so it was too incredible of an opportunity for me to turn down," unquote. Actress Barbara Carrera says she developed a friendship with Sean Connery on the set. "He is James Bond," she continued. "He had a magnetism about him that just drew you in. He was a man's man. He was the kind of person that men wanted to emulate, and women wanted to be dominated by him." Well, I guess some of them do. This is her saying it, not me. "He was the quintessential James Bond. I think all the other Bonds have tried to capture that certain magic he had, but it's just something that can't be duplicated, what he did. Connery," she says, "it belongs to him and only him alone," unquote. And Never Say Never Again, the former Playboy cover girl starred as a professional assassin, but despite her hard-as-nails persona, Carrera said it was difficult not to melt at the sight of Connery when he first walked onto the set. You know, people used to say that about me in plays when I was in plays.
Did they?
Stage
Is that what they said?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I don't. Yeah. Somebody told me that. I don't know if it's true or not. I remember, I haven't seen her in many movies, but one of the things I remember her from was they did a remake of H.G. Wells' Island of Dr. Moreau book that he made about the island, about where the guy experimented on humans and merged them with animals. And 1977 version of that with Burt Lancaster as Dr. Moreau and Michael York as the guy who is shipwrecked on the island. And Barbara Carrera is the female in that film. And I remember her seeing that long before Never Say Never Again.
And you can hear in his voice in that little clip, it was much more of the relaxed Sean Connery than when his earlier Bond. His earlier Bond, it felt like he was almost keeping that Scottish under control a little more.
Yep.
And this one was like, no, women love this accent.
This is the Sean Connery that's had tons of money given to him over the years, so he doesn't really have to worry about it
anymore.
That's right. Doesn't have to worry about it anymore. And I catch a lot of heck for preferring that one over Thunderball. But and if you want to get mad at me and call, how could you say that Never Say Never Again is better than Thunderball? I'll totally understand. If you think that, it's okay. I mean, sometimes I question myself, but I do like the movie. But, you know, it came out the same year as Octopussy with Roger Moore, and Octopussy made more money. It was the more standard Bond, and there was a lot of bad press surrounding Never Say Never Again because they tried to sue them to keep them from making it. But Roger Moore prevailed that year because he was part of the regular Bond franchise, and it made more money. But I do remember it was called The Battle of the Bonds in 1983, and I do like that movie better than Never Say Never Again. Even I may like Never Say Never better than Thunderball, but I like Roger Moore's Octopussy much better than that one because it was just more of a regular Bond film. So I still get Sean Connery, to me. We talked about it a little last week. We don't think we talked about it long enough. I think three roles that stand out, several of them stand out, but the one that stands out for me the most is the one he won the award for was The Untouchables. That was a great role that he did as the Irish cop, that enough of the walking the beat, and he was asked by Elliot Ness to help take down Al Capone, and he did, because he wasn't corrupt. He was one of the guys that wasn't corrupted by the mob.
Well, what I love is Sean Connery has always been able to play the dramatic, serious role. Yeah. But because of Bond, so many times you get kind of typecast, and so they ignore your work. He's done a lot of great things.
Oh, yeah.
So to get recognized in that, was it Brian De Palma that directed
Brian
that?
De Palma, yeah, which is a fantastic movie. I love The Untouchables.
And it is a really good movie.
It is great. And another remake of an old TV show.
And for folks who are like, Kevin Costner can't act, he can. You got to pick and choose your Costners then.
Right. Your wife would argue with you on that. I do know that for a fact about Kevin.
I like most of Kevin Costner stuff. I'm okay with him.
But when he played Elliot Ness, let's be honest, when he played Elliot Ness in Untouchables, it was kind of that straight-lined personality of his character anyway.
Yeah.
So,
he didn't have to stretch as far as some others.
He didn't. And the thing that really impressed me lately that Kevin Costner did was The Highwaymen, the Bonnie guys, the guys chasing down Bonnie and Clyde, which I thought he was really great. It was a Netflix movie, and he was really good in that.
And so was Woody Harrelson, who by the way. I still can't get my mind around. That's the guy I used to watch in Cheers, who was the dumb goofball with just the one-liners and people making fun of him. He's a really good actor. Woody Harrelson is very good.
He is. And if you've never, a couple more Sean Connery movies, if you've never seen them, you could, I know most of everyone has seen the big ones like Hunt for Red October and the other things he has done. But he did a little known movie back in 1976, called Robin and Marion, about Robin Hood growing old and facing his mortality with Marion, who's played by Audrey Hepburn. They're both older actors playing these older characters, and it's got a heartbreaking ending to it. I'll just warn you right now. I won't tell you what the ending is if you've never seen it, but it is a fantastic way to see. Richard Harris plays the king that's senile, that's going crazy. Robert Shaw is the sheriff in it. It's got a great cast. I mean, there you go. Just from those four people alone.
Well worth watching.
Right. His Little John is Nicole Williams that plays Merlin in Excalibur. All those great actors in Robin. If you've never seen Robin and Marion, John Barry does the music to it. And it's another James Bond connection there with the music. And it's fantastic. And Outland, where he's the outer space marshal on Jupiter's moon. Outland's a great remake of High Noon in Space, but it's not only that. It is a good movie. Jerry Goldsmith does the soundtrack. Peter, who plays, I'm drawing a blank. Peter Boyle. Peter Boyle, who plays the Frankenstein in Young Frankenstein, plays the bad guy. And he's so good.
And he actually still has hair in it.
He does, and a beard. He plays Shepard, the guy who wants the drugs to be on the moon so the men can work more and produce more. And Sean Connery's the sheriff in town that doesn't like it. It's against the law. So Sean Connery, will miss him. You and I will. I know we will. Speaking
Adios.
On the air, we'll be back.
Many of our contestants are chosen from the studio audience for future shows, so if you'd like to be one, write us and close a self-addressed stamped envelope and mail to Tickets, Match Game 74, CBS Television City, 7800 Beverly Boulevard, Los Angeles, California, 90036.
If you want to win the game, you gotta take good aim and get the most marbles with your hippo. Playing Hungry, Hungry Hippos. Hungry, Hungry Hippos.
Hungry, Hungry Hippos is the name of the game, and whoever hippo gets the most marbles wins.
Playing Hungry, Hungry Hippos. Hungry, Hungry Hippos.
I win!
Hungry, Hungry Hippos from Hasbro.
Give it up! Podcast Magazine presents the Hot 50 Countdown.
Hi, it's Rob Actis, host of the Podcast Magazine Hot 50 Countdown. Join me as I count them down from 50 to number 1, the top 50 podcasts in the land as determined by you, the podcast fans. From true crime, society and culture, self-help, health and fitness, science, and every podcast category in between. The Hot 50 Countdown is here.
Voting is not over. I want to let everybody know that in case you didn't know that, it's a different kind of voting at podcastmagazine.com. Check them out. They actually take your votes every day. You can vote daily every month for the top 3 Hot 50 podcasts. You can vote for 3. If you don't listen to 3, just vote for 1. Or if you really like 1, vote for it 3 times. I don't know. I'm not going to tell you how to do it. But you vote for your favorite podcast, the host. You have to enter in your email, and they ask you if you want to join their magazine to read it or check it out. It's a great magazine if you like podcasts. But I would ask, just as a favor, if you listen to BK on the air and you like it, give us a vote at Podcast Magazine for the Hot 50. It doesn't mean the hot hosts are sexy or anything.
No.
It just means that, well, some of them might be. I'm sure some of them might be with some of them, but maybe not us. But who knows?
Not in this room.
Maybe our wives think I hope our wives think we're sexy.
Tune in. We're queuing them up and counting them down.
Oh, yeah. We're a sexy hot podcast. We're on fire. I would love it if you were to vote for BK on the air. That would be great. I pushed it off. We don't have a...
Vote for the Wilder Ride.
Oh, you can vote for the Wilder Ride and whatever the third one is you want or whatever. It doesn't matter to us.
The Wilder BK on the air ride.
You can vote. Yeah. Wild BK.
Careful.
And you can vote once a day, by the way. I mean, if you like several, you could vote. So that's cool that you'll take your vote once a day from whatever email address you have. Let's do this day in history since we don't have a Star Wars report today. 1932. I actually got this queued up here. This is the anniversary today. In 1932, on this day, people heard this on the radio for the very first time.
Buck Rogers in the 25th century.
Buck Rogers in the 25th century, his first radio broadcast premiere was today on CBS Radio in 1932.
Wow.
was the first time he premiered on any type of medium like that, other than
Duck
the printed
Dodgers
page.
in the 24th
Duck
and a half
Dodgers
century.
That's why it was so fresh in their minds with Warner Brothers, because that cartoon came along in the late 40s, early 50s, and people still knew about it. On this day in history, November 7th, in 1976, Gone with the Wind was first televised, and I think it's still on. It's such a long movie.
Yeah.
It's actually still playing. 1980, Steve McQueen died on this date. He was dubbed for a while, and we know why after seeing some of his movies. For a long time, he was considered the cinema's king of cool.
Oh, yeah.
Steve McQueen. And you know what? I don't know if any of the people share my opinion, but when I look at him in a certain way, maybe not by his actions, but his looks. When Kevin Costner was a little younger, he reminded me of Steve McQueen. I don't know why. 1995, Howard Stern's radio show premiered in Pittsburgh on WXDX 105.9 FM in 1995. That doesn't seem like a long time ago to you and I.
No.
But it actually kind of was, just younger folks, 1995. 1997, in the cinema, Mr. Bean's movie starring Rowan Atkinson opened. I am one of the biggest Rowan Atkinson fans of Mr. Bean in the world. I loved his show, for the British show he did, the television series he did was fantastic. I thought the movie fell a little short when they tried to transfer it to cinema. I'm like, it's not working that well in the cinema, but that character is fantastically
He's
funny.
better in small doses.
Right, exactly. And I think the fact that at the beginning of the title sequence of the show, it shows him beamed down from a flying saucer. The only way you could explain him as being an alien.
I used to laugh so hard at his shorts that he would do where he wouldn't say a word.
No.
And just got himself in the worst trouble thinking he's trying to do something like learning how to salute the Queen.
He was truly the first autistic guy with a disorder. I mean, obviously it was
there was something
great.
quirky with him.
It's just quirky.
And he has a kind of a goofier look, and he understood that, and he used it to his advantage.
Right. My two favorites that stand out is he drove a British mini car, where he pulls up and he's trying to leave the parking deck, and he's not heavy enough to make the arm go up, and he makes a whole 6-7 minutes short of it, and makes it really funny because he can't get it to engage. The other one is when he goes to the restaurant and orders off the menu, and he doesn't know what steak tartare means, so he orders it. And when he gets it, it's raw meat, and he doesn't want to not eat it and send it back, so he finds creative ways to make every spoonful disappear. He puts one under the cup and saucers. Then he puts one in a guy's pocket as he walks by. He scoops up some, puts under the tablecloth. It is so funny.
His expressions, his facial expressions, he didn't have to speak in these. He's
got a rubber face.
What he was thinking or his reactions and his when something would go wrong that he wasn't expecting, he'd be like, "Whoa!"
Right. Or he did occasionally say a line, but he said it like this. Right.
Well, his character, I love the movie Love Actually. Coming into the holiday season, it's something my wife and I will watch every Christmas season.
Right.
He has one little cameo. He's in it twice, but he's trying to sell Alan Rickman a piece of jewelry, and it's the funniest because Alan Rickman's trying to sneak it because his wife's going to sneak up on him any minute.
They cast him.
And he's like, I will be done in the flashes of flashes, and he is dragging it out. Yeah, so funny.
And he also portrays, let's say this, he plays Nigel Smallfawcett in Never Say Never Again. The guy who helps James Bond in the Bahamas. He certainly does.
That's right.
That's the first place I saw him in the old days before I saw his show, was in Never Say Never Again. Good tie into that. Rowan Atkinson. Also on this date in history, 1997, Starship Troopers, the Peter Verhoeven movie, premiered in theaters, that's a movie I grew to love over time when I finally kind of figured out what it was about. 2015, Gunnar Hansen passed away. Is that a familiar name to you? Yes or no? Some of you may knew who he was. Icelandic-born actor who originally played Leatherface in the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. And he showed up at many conventions to sign autographs because of that role that he did. Because he's a really tall, big guy. Mm-hmm. He died of cancer at 68 years old in 2015. Birthdays today. Johnny Rivers, singer Johnny Rivers, Secret Agent Man.
Secret Asian Man?
Asian Man, which I thought it was for years, which was used for the title sequence of Secret Agent, the TV show that Patrick McGowan starred in that they imported from England. Over here it was called Danger Man. Over there, then he went on to be in The Prisoner and several other movies, and then he wound up playing King Longshanks in Braveheart for Mel Gibson, and Silver Streak. He's the bad guy. We're familiar with him. Talking about Gene Wilder's Silver Streak. Dana Plato, the girl from Different Strokes, died on this day in 1999. Sad story about her.
Sad life.
Number one on the Billboard charts. We'll stick with 1980 since that's when we're talking about some Steve McQueen died. Woman in Love, produced by Barry Gibb of the Bee Gees by Barbra Streisand. It was a great album by her. And when we come back, I'll tell you what National Day it is and what the top 5 TV shows were in 1980. We'll stick with 1980 on November 7th. And also, we'll flash the audience, too. We put that off, too, for a little while. We'll do all that when we come back.
We'll return after these messages.
Groovy.
Hey everyone, Alan Sanders here.
And BK on the air.
We're here to tell you about the fun, informative, and entertaining Saturday morning talk radio right here on WBHF. It's everyone's favorite Saturday show, Waking Up with Alan from 7 a.m. to 10.
Wait a minute. Just hold your horses there. I think everyone knows that BK on the Air is everyone's favorite show on Saturdays.
You know, folks mostly tune in to wake up and hear me on Saturday.
No, sir. I'm kind of the fun bowl of cereal for breakfast, and you're the cup of coffee.
Iron Man.
Captain America.
Chocolate.
Peanut butter.
Addams Family.
Monsters.
Why do you always have to make such a big deal out of everything? Hold it. You said peanut butter, and I said chocolate.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
2 great shows that sound great together. Well, back to back.
We're the peanut butter cups of Saturday morning.
Tune in to Waking Up with Alan from 7 to 10 a.m.
And me, BK on the Air, 10 a.m. till noon.
Listen on our website at WBHFradio.org or use the Tunein radio app.
On 100.3 FM and AM 1450 WBHF.
That's a fake laugh.
It's real! WBHF in Cartersville.
Hey, we're back. It is B County here with Alan Sanders. I want to finish out this day in history. We usually talk about TV shows and what national day it is today. The top 5 rated television shows in 1980. This week, here they are. Number 5, The Love Boat.
Oh, yeah.
Was number 5. Talk about where old actors went to die, was either The Love Boat or Fantasy Island. Guest starring this actor that hasn't done anything.
And when I grew
time.
up, they followed each other on TV.
They did.
Fantasy Island was always later because it was a little darker, a little more adult themed. Where
Love Boat on ABC. Yep. And number 4, the number 4 show in 1980 was MASH.
Of course,
was MASH. Number 3, this one was usually number 1, but I think it started to fall in 1980. 60 Minutes, the news magazine show.
That's almost always in the top.
Started out with the
still one of the only shows that has no theme music.
Yeah, that is their theme, the little tick and watch. Number 2, want to take a stab at number 2 and number 1? I will tell you that from 4 to number 1, it's all CBS. The only one, number 5 was
ABC.
Is it number 2
Magnum
is,
PI?
No, not Magnum PI, but it is about a show that contains a cool car.
Knight Rider.
No, not CBS. Knight Rider was NBC.
Dukes of Hazzard.
Dukes of Hazzard, number 2. That's right. A cartoon show turned to live action. When I would try to watch it now, I'm like, oh my goodness, I can't watch it now. I can watch it for about 5 minutes and I have to turn it because I'm like, oh, I see why I liked this when I was a little kid.
Yeah, but adults were watching it. At the
I
time.
know, but it was a different mindset back then, though.
Must have been.
Right. The number 1 show though was CBS as well. Think 1980.
Dallas.
Yes.
Dallas.
That was actually the year the Who Shot JR.
Who Shot JR?
That wasn't this week, but it's
Let's make it a dream. Show. No one will react badly to that.
Totally negate the last season of the entire show and make every fan mad. Today is National Bittersweet Chocolate and Almonds Day. Boy, that's a mouthful.
Okay.
And it
would
be a
dark chocolate be considered bittersweet, or is that something different?
I consider bittersweet chocolate, the dark chocolate bittersweet.
I love dark chocolate, but I like the dark chocolate with sea salt.
And
it's
I'm
like that's that little kick.
I'm more of a milk chocolate guy. The wife likes the dark chocolate too.
Well, your wife is right.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah.
Just ask her.
It's like Benny Hill. She may be right. She may be left. So, I don't know. Today is also National...
Which half of the bikini should I wear? The left.
Okay. I don't know. You choose. Either way, I win. So, yeah. National Canine Lymphoma Awareness Day is today, too, by the way. So... That's interesting.
Make sure you're getting your dogs checked out annually.
I had to
take them for their checkup.
Right, and have them spayed or neutered.
I read this a year ago, and I think it's why our dogs lived as long as they have. I mean, besides being spoiled and inside and kept healthy.
That's right. Yeah, that's what
but
we do.
I had read that you can get as much as a 30% extended lifespan out of your pet if you spay or neuter them early.
Really? Okay. Well, Pippa's head of the game.
We've always done that. I mean, when Rufus finally got to the point where we had to put him down,
right?
I mean, he was probably 17 for a lab Border Collie mix.
Right.
He was a big dog.
Oh, yeah.
And usually they don't live to about 10 or 11. That's the average lifespan for most labs, about 11
when
years.
When you guys walk Rufus, he walked y'all, right? Usually. He just
No, it's our husky right now who thinks she's the front of a pack.
She's the sled dog. Yeah.
She's going to take us for a pull.
And you're a sled. Just fine. Oh, jeez.
Oh, jeez.
Husky.
What are you
It
doing?
was my nickname when I was a teenager, and I hated that. Hey, Husky, shut up. You don't mean dog.
I'm
I
going
know
to call
what
you
mean by that.
Pirelli because you're always racing.
It's bad that the Sears jeans that I wore were Huskies. Sears Husky jeans
Husky
or
brand.
whatever. I hated that.
We had the tough skins.
Why don't you put on the pair of jeans that I'm fat? Why don't you just print it on
Wasn't
there?
that the
I love
size, though? Wasn't that the size Husky?
I don't know. It just Husky meant big to me, and I didn't like it.
It does mean big. Would you rather have jeans that say fat or Husky?
I don't know.
Neither.
How about just Wrangler?
How about Wrangler?
Or just something else?
How about Comfort
How about
Fit?
store brand? I don't know. Well, we got time. We may bleed over to the bottom after the bottom of the hour, but we'll start it now. Time that we flash the audience of the news, the weird, the strange, and the bizarre. And we got some good ones today, like we always do.
Oh, cool. I've got the first news.
Ooh. You'll see why I gave you the certain ones you got. You may figure it out.
Well, this is from UPI. A Rhode Island property is offering Lord of the Rings fans the opportunity to live out their Middle-earth fantasies in rental Hobbit homes.
Do you mind telling me what this is all about?
Really? That sounds cool.
Absolutely. I would love to be in that world just to visit for a little while. The Preserve at Boulder Hills Club and Residences, a sports club with luxury residential housing in Richmond, said the Hobbit houses have been under construction for around 36 months, and 2 of the structures are now complete and ready for rent for events. The houses are based on those used by the hobbits in the Lord of the Rings books by J.R.R. Tolkien. Daniel Hostetler, the president of the Ocean House Management Club, which is responsible for resort operations for the Preserve, said the houses can be rented for groups of up to 8 people to hold parties, dinners, and other events. The rentals start at $660 and get more expensive as the number of guests grows.
Oh, J.R.R. Tolkien. You mean that guy that ripped off Harry Potter?
Yeah, that guy. Seems like he kind of copied a lot of stuff from J.K. Rowling, including using his initials.
The forest and the spider and stuff like that. And
and a main bad wizard.
Hey, kids, kind of check your facts before you complain about
before
stuff.
You put something,
some of
post
us
something
have,
online.
Some of us have lived a little longer than you have. I got the next news a lot longer than some of you have so far.
Those movies would have been better if you had read the Harry Potter books.
From UPI, a pair of surfers on the northwest tip of Ireland made an unusual discovery washed up on shore.
A dead leprechaun?
No, that wouldn't have been unusual.
Really? Does that happen a lot?
A time capsule tossed into an Arctic ice floe by the crew of a Russian ship. Connor McClory, there's an Irish name for you, and Sophie Curran of Gweedore, County Donegal, said they spotted the metal object on shore while they were checking sea conditions for surfing. McClory showed the engraving to an acquaintance who speaks Russian. Yeah, it has happened to somebody here that speaks Russian. And they translated the engraving and revealed it was a time capsule. The container was opened, and McClory discovered messages in Russian and English from the crew and passengers of 50 Years of Victory ship, a nuclear-powered Russian icebreaker ship that tossed the time capsule into an ice floe at the North Pole in the year 2018. It wasn't too long ago. The cylinder also contained
just a couple years
photographs, beer mats, a menu, wine corks, badges, and other items stowed away
need
by
no
the
stinking badges.
Ship's crew. They needed the wine corks, though, on the Russian ship. McClory and Curran were able to contact the author of one of the letters from the time capsule on social media, and the person told them the time capsule's creators had not expected it to be found for 30 or 40 years. Just a little bit early. I hope they put it back in the water. Wow, that's kind of an early one to find. That's kind of too quick.
It got caught in a floe and made its way to Ireland.
Yeah, and in that story, it's flow, F-L-O-E, is how they spell it. Flow.
Well, it is
Dynaflow.
a flow. That's what the underwater
the flow of water,
flow of
F-L-O-W, like what goes down your toilet.
No, not the backflow.
The Dynaflow in the engines.
I got the next news.
I got a problem with the flow and the Dynaflow.
The flux capacitor is fluxing. All right.
And Leon's getting larger.
Wrong week to stop sniffing glue. Police in the Czech Republic said they issued a warning to a man caught violating curfew and attempting to disguise his actions.
Oh, what could he be doing?
By walking a stuffed toy dog on a leash.
Really?
I need to get out of my house. I don't have a pet. I have a toy dog.
He's dragging the dog. He's either stuffed or he's dead.
News crews from Czech television's events of South Bohemia show where accompanying a patrolling the show were accompanying patrolling officers in the Český region of the Czech Republic when the officers stopped a man caught walking in a public area after the 9 p.m. curfew, which was imposed because of COVID-19. The man initially claimed to be out walking his dog, an activity that is permitted after curfew hours, but police quickly determined the object at the end of the leash was a stuffed dog. The man then claimed his walk was an artistic practical joke and was released with a warning. The dog walker later told the Miata Fronto newspaper he does not regret his actions. I regret nothing.
So if the other guy can do it, he can get out and walk with a mannequin, and he's walking with his wife. No, that doesn't work.
I remember when I was little, we'd go to these fairs, and people had the leashes that were basically
There's nothing on
plastic,
it.
and it looks like you're walking an invisible dog. Wouldn't that be cool to go do that?
Sure, because there's such an old thing, no one remembers those. They could be new again.
I think that would be so cool to be going down and like, I'm just taking the dog for a walk, and people are like, wait.
Or have the one with the, they also made them with the fake snakes on the ground, and you did the twist, so it looks like the snake's walking in a S motion, which is great. I'm walking the snake here. I'm just walking. They won't approach you. Hey, stay away. I'm walking my snake.
Careful, he's not trained.
I got another news. He's not trained. He doesn't like strangers. He's a police snake.
Don't pet.
He's not the K9 unit. He's the S9 unit. A 5-year-old boy in India broke a Guinness World Record when he identified 50 cartoon characters in 1 minute. Now, listen to this. This doesn't sound too spectacular to me, but it probably would be because I don't know a lot of the newer ones. Guinness shared a video showing Shrish Nergvag, 5 years old, of Tamil Nadu.
Oh, Shrish Nergvag?
Did I say it backwards?
I don't know.
He identified cartoon characters from a stack of photos. The boy identified 50 characters during the time period, including characters from popular shows Paw Patrol, the Powerpuff Girls, the Jetsons, and the Flintstones. So there was new mixed with old. Dora the Explorer and more also made an appearance. He previously held the Guinness record for most vehicle logos identified 1 minute. I guess because he's 5, maybe that's what's amazing about it. Because I think I could identify 50 cartoon characters. Now, if it's 50, I don't know who they are. I won't be able to identify them if they're just a mix. I think I could hit quite a few of them over the years.
Because when you think about it, that's about one every second.
Right, and I can do logos, too. I'm really good at logos. And Stacy's amazed by me because I can tell usually... Not the brand new 2022s because I haven't seen a lot of them or not. You could take logos off of cars and I can tell you what they are because I just see enough of them to be familiar with what kind they are. She's like, well, what's that over there? Right quick. I'm like, that's Ford. It's a Nissan. She's like, how do you do that? I'm like, I've looked at them. It's no talent.
Pay attention.
It's not talent. Yeah, I just pay attention.
What you're supposed to do with your wife is say, because I'm smarter than you. And that always works.
No, does that work with you?
No, not at all.
Because I still have a bruise from when I said it once on the back of my shoulder.
But then I don't remember a whole lot till the next day.
It's a flat. All you remember is a pillow coming at you in your face?
It's stuffed with a brick.
Stuffed with a brick. Hey, this pillow is full of bricks. Oh, I don't know why. It's just heavier.
It's like in the Douglas Adams books, The Hitchhiker's Guide, the Pan-Galactic Gargle Blaster.
Right.
It's like being hit in the face with a brick with a twist of lemon.
It's better that way. Hey, we got one more new flash from Alan when we come back. It's the bottom of the hour.
I flash you when we come back.
He's going to flash when we come back. And I got a Star Trek story about red shirts that you won't believe. You may or may not believe it.
I don't believe it.
Shall we raise our shields, Captain?
At ease, Mr. Chekhov. Again with the shields. I wish he'd just relax and enjoy the amazing picture clarity of the DirecTV HD we just hooked up. With what Starfleet just ponied up for this big screen TV, settling for cable would be illogical. What? I can't use that line?
For picture quality that beats cable, you've got to get DirecTV.
And now, back to the guy who secretly thinks J.J. Abrams did the best job with any Star Trek movie, but he'll never admit it. It's BK on the air.
Sometimes what we're talking about off the air is just as interesting, so maybe I'll include it on the podcast. I don't know. Everything you said just then, I was still recording, by the way.
Oh, good.
I'll just put it on
a
the
treat for me.
And put a disclaimer on it, for language and whatnot.
So when you go to edit it, just make sure you take me out.
I'll just put a horse whinny noise to cover up from Young Frankenstein to cover up the profanity.
Well, we still had a couple more of these, so I've got the next news. Flash. A global.
Does it not say global?
No, it does not say global. It says a
but
gold.
you thought global, right?
I was thinking global. A gold coin commemorating the assassination of Julius Caesar, minted just 2 years after the death of the Roman leader, fetched a record-breaking high bid of $3.5 million at an auction in Britain. Yeah, the London auction, conducted by Roma Numismatics, ended with the gold coin minted in, check this out, 46 BC.
That is an antique. That's an old coin. Yeah, if I ever heard of an antique.
It bears the image of Marcus Junius Brutus, one of the leaders of Caesar's assassination, as well as the image of 2 daggers and the words Eid Mar, which means the Ides of March, a reference to the March 15 date of his killing.
Yeah.
Nearly 100 similar coins minted in silver are known to exist, but the one that sold for $3.5 million in late October is one of only 3 known to survive that were minted in gold. The coin was purchased by an anonymous collector. The auction house said. The auctioneer said the sale marked a new world record for the most expensive coin ever sold.
See, that's a cool one, too. How cool!
Are you not going to do the last one?
Would it be great that if you could find? And then,
there was one more.
Yeah, that's the last one.
No, there was one more. So I just asked, are you going to do the last one?
Oh, I thought there was the last one. Oh, I'm sorry. I got the.
You weren't listening when I said you have 2.
News.
You don't really listen. I am like the wife in this room.
I'm like your kids. Why should I listen to you? Your kids don't listen to you. I guess you're going to tell me to pay my bills on time too, right?
You should. By the way, you owe me.
I try to. I do.
By the way, I got an invoice for you.
Okay.
You may not remember for what,
you?
but trust me. You
See, the fact that I don't remember it means I should just pay it. A Newfoundland and Labrador family is trying to find the owner of a wedding ring found in a child's candy bag after a night of trick-or-treating. Oh, we got some leftover Halloween story here. Here we go from leftovers. Gillian LaHonda said her son Nico didn't realize until the end of the night that someone had apparently dropped their wedding ring into his bag while he was trick-or-treating Saturday at St. John's. LaHonda said Nico visited dozens of homes during his 3-hour quest for candy and does not know at what point in the evening the ring fell into his bag. Would that be considered a nice candy treat? I don't want to eat
I'll
it.
take that.
How much does it cost? The mother said she is keeping the details of the ring's appearance under wraps, obviously, for the moment, for the rightful owner to describe it to prove ownership. The family has put up flyers in the neighborhood, and neighborhood Valier Elementary got involved by posting about the ring on social media. Now that was the final news.
There we go.
Thank you for getting me back on track.
It's all right.
I'm an idiot.
I can't afford to pay my bills, but I can pay attention. So,
well, good. And I don't want to lose my sense of taste. I'll lose my sense of taste over my sense of humor. I got a fact here from MeTV that you may not know about. Let's talk about it.
Dead, Jim. He's dead.
He's dead, Doctor.
He's dead, Jim. He's dead. He's dead, Captain.
He'll die, Jim.
He's dead. He's dead, Jim. Dead. The man is dead. He's dead. He's dead.
He's dead, sir.
He's dead, Jim. He's dead, Jim. He's dead, Jim.
That man's dead back there.
She's dead. He's dead. Must be dead. He was worse than dead. His brain is gone.
So a few He's Dead gems from Star Trek, not only said by McCoy, but a few other people. A lot of people died on Star Trek. And you think that probably a lot of people
generally
that wore
one
red
episode.
shirts. Yeah, one and wearing a red shirt. The red shirts died a lot.
That is often parodied in other movies and talked about.
It turns out red shirts are not more likely to die on Star Trek. This
really?
Is via MeTV at MeTV.com. Being a red shirt isn't as bad as it sounds. Star Trek and mathematics go hand in hand. It's a show about space, and many of the scientific accomplishments demonstrated on the series required advanced engineering. We may not understand the field. I know I don't. But we can appreciate its achievements. You can say that about Star Trek. Much more believable and dramatic than stuff like Lost in Space and other stuff. It actually tried to be a real scientific show. It did have quirky effects sometimes with the limitations they had, but overall it was treated seriously. Star Trek was.
Yes.
So it makes sense that the Museum of Mathematics hosted a forum, this is back in 2017, and I didn't know this, called Star Trek, The Math of Khan, in order to explain some simple arithmetic behind the show. Space.com attended the seminar and offered some pretty neat insight on what it really means to be a red shirt security guy on Star Trek. You don't have to be a mathematician to understand this one. Quote, Star Trek predicted a lot of technology, included a lot of science fiction ideas, the guest of honor James Grine stated. Futuristic technology such as warp speed, going faster than light, transporters that teleport you from one space to another, and green alien space babes, unquote. Grine pointed out that although there is such a thing as science fiction, there's no such thing as math fiction. By taking a look at the numbers of Star Trek, we can learn more about the series. The first topic Grine discussed is the perception that red shirts, people that wore the red shirts, or those wearing red uniforms are more likely to die, it's a joke, than other members of the crew. Many fans joke that those who wear the crimson uniform, often engineers and security personnel, as we've said, almost guaranteed to die a tragic death. While it's true that more red shirts die on Star Trek, they're actually less likely to perish. The original series, 25 red shirts were killed, followed by... Now, we know we had 3 different colors on Star Trek of shirts. The red shirts, the gold, yellowish shirts, and the blue shirts, who were the science folks. 25 red shirts were killed, followed by 10 crew members wearing gold and 8 wearing blue. However, many fans failed to take into account that there were way more crew members wearing red on the USS Enterprise than those wearing gold or blue. According to Grime and the Star Trek Starfleet Technical Manual, there are 239 red shirts on the series. Of those, only 25 die. That means red shirts on the series have about 10% chance of dying.
Oh, dear Lord.
However, this is where they went.
Is this how they get you to watch?
This is where they went. However, there are 55 crew members wearing gold, which is command, like Kirk. If 10 of them die, that means their mortality rate is just over 18%. Captain Kirk should consider himself lucky to be alive, using this kind of logic.
He was twice as likely to die
over
a red
Only
shirt.
6% of the crew members wearing blue, like Spock and Science. Often scientists die on the show, only 6%. So the next time someone makes fun of a red shirt, stick up for them. We should really be concerned about the crew members wearing gold, percentage-wise,
okay.
than anybody else.
You know, you had me initially, and then when you go,
I know.
It's a percentage of the population. I'm like, oh.
So that was them that did that. And remember, it's the folks that did Star Trek, the math of Khan.
I'm going to throw the BS flag in on that one. That is bullshnikey.
And remember to watch Star Trek on MeTV Saturdays at 10 p.m. By the way, if you want to watch it, or if you own it on Blu-ray, watch it yourself.
You know what they were hoping, that you wouldn't bother reading the article, that you'd go back and watch Star Trek and try to prove them wrong.
Right. And hey, that's a little trick to get you to do it. Hey, you don't have to make an article to make me watch it, because I can watch it anyway. It's actually available. If you can't see it on MeTV, it's on Amazon Prime. Star Trek, the original series. It's still out there to watch, too, by the way. So 770-386-1450 is our number if you want to give us a call and chime in on anything that we've been talking about today. I got some more things to get to. I did tease this. Let's talk about this now before the next break we got coming up. Can I squeeze it in? Maybe. If not, we'll go over from sci-fi.com. Oreo built a doomsday vault to protect cookies from an asteroid.
It sounds like the name of a Twilight Zone episode.
It does.
There was Doomsday Vault.
There were Oreos to eat. I can eat the Oreos with my glasses on. Since they first appeared,
you lose your sense of taste.
It didn't smell.
Oh, no.
I want a Twinkie.
I can't taste the Oreos. No.
Okay. How do you eat them? I got to ask.
I don't twist them apart.
I don't twist them apart and lick the
But
center.
I do like dunking them in milk just until they get soft enough.
Oh, yeah.
Just to...
I do that with just about every cookie I think I can do, especially with the hard chocolate chip ones.
And you got to learn that point, because there's nothing worse than it breaking off and landing in the bottom of the milk glass.
Turn into an Oreo milkshake. You know,
it's not at the bottom. Like, oh.
Now I got to fish it out or drink it.
It's going to take me another 20 seconds before I can take a bite, because now I got to get it wet again.
Real mushy at that point.
I love dunking it.
Now they have the double stuffs that came out that had the more icing, which is fine, which is a gimmick. And then I think they had the triple stuffs that came out, the mega ones.
You know my favorite though?
That were huge.
The mint stuff.
Do you like the mint stuff?
I love chocolate mint. The two combined together.
I never did get into candy. I don't know why. But you know what?
Chocolate mint
Since
together.
I'm not a big chocolate guy, I love the golden Oreos. That's just
Those
me.
are good.
They're really good.
There's
They're more
nothing
of a
wrong with
vanilla flavor. Oreos, you can't go wrong. Well, I knew that
orange
we would.
one for Halloween.
I knew we wouldn't get to it, but I'll do the story about it and more when we come back at Speaking on the Air.
I can't believe I ate that whole thing.
You ate it, Ralph.
I can't believe I ate that whole thing.
No, Ralph, I ate it.
I can't believe I ate that whole thing.
Take 2 Alka-Seltzer.
After you have your Oreo cookies, you might need a little Alka-Seltzer there from the old days. A little step back into television commercials there. I was watching some old ads this week, trying to do a little distraction. And I remember the guy who can't believe he ate the whole thing. We're talking about before we went to the break. Hey, it's BK on there. We're back, by the way. Talking about Oreo cookies in the vault that they built since they appeared back in 1912. Nabisco's Oreo cookies have been one of the most beloved snack foods on the planet, with an estimated 34 billion of the little cream-filled delights now sold worldwide every year in over 100 countries. With news back of the Election Day asteroid that passed by Earth on November 2nd, the company was taking no chances with its best-selling treasures and had recently constructed a special concrete bunker in the permafrost of Svalbard Svalbard, Norway, to stash away a huge stockpile of iconic Oreos alongside a copy of its secret recipe in case of an apocalyptic impact. According to NASA and CNET, this erratic space rock, dubbed Asteroid 2018VP1, zooming into our solar system, has practically no chance of ever colliding with Earth, and it didn't, by the way, because it came and went. And its likelihood of bashing our big blue marble was only 0.41 or 1 in 244, or even touching our atmosphere at all. And on the astronomical chance that the asteroid did gaze our planet's protective bubble, it would vaporize instantly. But that hasn't happened. That hasn't stopped Nabisco from taking full advertising advantage of the situation to construct a Norwegian doomsday vault, as this story states. As an added precaution, the Oreo packs are wrapped in mylar, which can withstand temperatures from minus 80 degrees to 300 degrees Fahrenheit, and it's impervious to chemical reaction, moisture, and air, keeping the cookies fresh and protected for years to come, Oreo announced. It is comforting to know that these precious Oreos will be safe and secure from all mankind inside the official global Oreo vault should the world crumble. And hey, in case you survive the apocalypse, you know where you can look for an end-of-the-world snack, by the way. Just got Tallahassee looking for the Twinkies in Zombieland. Always a little something around.
Precious.
You want those?
Very precious.
You know, I think Oreos would be the last thing on my mind. I know it's more of a joke funny than anything, but maybe later on, if I've got my stockpile of food, I've got everything I need to survive, and the oncoming whatever's coming at me, people, apocalypse, zombies, whatever's coming at me, I'm like, now that I'm settled in, I got enough food for a few months, let's go out and look for some Oreos or Twinkies or something like that. We might find something extra.
It's a field trip for the family.
To throw on there, yeah. Which would be great. 770-386-1450 is our number if you want to give us a call. I have another story here from Paul Brinkman at UPI. And this was October 30th, this story, and I'd forgotten about it because we were doing Halloween stuff and we got distracted with a lot of other stuff. Did you know that the International Space Station marked 20 years up
I heard that. Orbit? I couldn't believe it's been 20 years.
I can't either, but now that I think about it, I'm like, I guess it has been.
I guess those computers are old now.
They are. They like Atari 2600s or something like that. Wasn't that funny when we find out about that? For years, the space shuttle had computers on board that were like nowhere near as sophisticated as our cell phones we had, our iPhones and stuff. They had to update them finally, but they were archaic controlling that space shuttle. But they worked, but they were archaic. The 20th anniversary on October 30th of the humans living aboard the International Space Station spotlights the global cooperation of scientific discoveries that benefit all people, according to the astronauts and other involved in missions there. NASA and space agencies around the world were using the milestone to underscore achievements in space since the end of deep space crewed missions in the 1970s and the space shuttle program in 2011. Can you believe we actually lived through a space program's beginning and end?
Beginning,
the space shuttle has now gone away. Now,
and we are experiencing a brand new era, the SpaceX cooperation, private,
which is kind of cool.
Unbelievable.
It is, and it's wonderful for the future. Those who participated in space station construction find it hard, as do we, to believe that it has been habited for 2 decades. Former astronaut Michael Lopez Alegria said he has been to the orbiting platform 3 times and was the last person to visit before permanent mission started in the year 2000. During the missions to help build and command the space station, he amassed 67 hours, 40 minutes, and 10 spacewalks, a record for NASA surpassed only by Russian cosmonaut Anatoly Solovyev, comrade. And he had 82 hours, 22 minutes, and 16 spacewalks. NASA and Russia cooperated on the space station project after 2 nations operated orbiting laboratories. The U.S. Skylab, occupied for just 24 weeks with gaps between 3 missions, and Russia's space station Mir, occupied with 2 short gaps for 12 and a half years. The orbiting research complex, which spans the length of a football field, is equivalent to a 5-bedroom home with a gym, 2 bathrooms, and a 360-degree bay window. That allows the views of Earth.
That's what they're talking about. The SpaceX guy wants to buy that and turn it into a luxury hotel.
Yeah, and I think it would
a mere $50,000 for a weekend stay.
There are some people that could afford to go do it, and what a thing to be able to say you did. And large arrays of solar panels power its systems, while liquid propellant rocket engines keep it from losing altitude. The space station, which costs more than $150 billion to build and costs NASA over $3 billion annually. That's right, $3 million in upkeep. Which I don't know.
That's
maybe
a lot for your HOA dues.
The guy that buys it would probably find a much more smarter way to keep it up, I'll bet, because he's more of a private guy than government run. It flies more than 250 miles above the Earth at over 17,000 miles an hour. You don't feel it because you're in space. 17,000 miles an hour down here across the desert would feel pretty fast, and I don't know that the G-forces would.
It's like you could go by in the blink of an eye.
That's kind of what they do. More than 240 people from 19 nations have visited this space laboratory and live in quarters with over 100 nations sending research or educational projects. So a cool story, which had its anniversary this past weekend, Halloween weekend.
That's just nuts.
We had a good time.
That's a lot of nuts.
That's a lot of miles per hour.
So I think at some point, I would hope in our lifetimes, we would find that you and I could afford, it may be expensive, but we could afford, at least I would do it, a trip in low orbit space, to be able to go to that,
fun.
To just spend one weekend to say, I was in space. I was floating. I was in space.
I was just in space.
Right.
Something that I thought about all my life.
I went to outer space.
Who else can
not
say
that far
that?
out of it, but
right. But I was in space. Right. That would be cool. Do you know the first celebrity that has signed up to be who's volunteered to
William
go?
Shatner?
William Shatner. He goes, I don't care how old I am. I don't care if I croak doing it. Could you? But if I got back, just imagine everybody would be able to say the guy who played Captain Kirk actually went out into space.
Do you think he couldn't help himself when he got up there? He goes, these are the voyages.
Well, he won't even say it in interviews now, so I don't know if he still wants to say it. He shies away from that so much because they're like, talk like Captain Kirk. He's like, I don't want to do that. Yeah. And even saying that sounded like Captain Kirk because he said it. So
I couldn't.
It would be great though if he were to do it. And did you see the female astronaut that was on? That's a big Star Trek fan, and she took a picture of herself. She put her Next Generation uniform on while she was on the space station and took a picture of herself doing the Spock Vulcan salute in front of the window in front of Earth. I can't remember her name, but it was just a few years ago that she did that before she came back to Earth. She was celebrating Star Trek. So I'm like, someone's had a Star Trek costume on in orbit, so that's kind of cool. And we can talk about how much Star Trek, we talk about how serious Star Trek took itself compared to the other, like Buck Rogers strings on things. And Leonard Nimoy talked about his first film was called Zombies of the Stratosphere, where he played an alien who wanted to take over Earth with a .38 special gun and started holding people at gunpoint. And that was what he was in first. And Star Trek was so far removed from that.
I've been slowly finishing my way. I'm almost done season 6. I've got one more season to go.
You're watching The Next Generation.
Next Generation.
Yep.
It's so good. Some of those stories
show.
are so
it really was.
well written.
Maybe you can see why the public. It ran for 7 years. It was the longest running television Star Trek show so far ever.
Well, didn't Deep Space Nine do 7 seasons?
I don't know. Did it? I have to look it up. Eric may correct me.
I will say this: I hit the episode in season 6 that had the crossover where the show, it was a Next Generation episode, but they were docking at the new Deep Space Nine, and they had crossover of just a couple of characters, including Julian Bashir, the Doctor from DS9. So,
what's funny is Patrick Stewart's in the first episode of DS9 to kind of cross that over and make that go. Oh, someone's calling now. Let's see if someone's correcting my math here. Hey, it's BK on the air. Hello, who's this?
Hey, what's going on, my friend?
Nothing much. We're just sitting here fooling around on the radio. That's all we do on Saturday.
Yep, I'm on the last season of Next Generation now. I've been binge watching it.
Oh, wow. So you've delved into Star. Had you seen it before, or are you watching it for the first time?
Oh, yeah, this is about my third time.
Wow, so you're a big fan of Star Trek: The Next Generation. Fantastic. Don't you think that they went really they did not just carbon copy the old show. They went their own way. They had their own characters, and a lot of people were wondering, is this going to make it? Star Trek is Kirk and Spock and McCoy. How in the world are they going to redo this and do it better? Well, they wound up being very successful on their own and niched their own little corner out and made their own Star Trek universe, and it was very successful.
I like the one where they find Scotty.
Trapped in the transporter beam.
Yeah, that was interesting. They did get a chance to some of the classic characters to come back. Spock, Leonard Nimoy was in one later on in the later seasons, in a two-parter about unifying with the Romulans. And in the very first episode, McCoy was on there as an old guy walking the corridors of the Enterprise with Data.
Yeah, the very first one.
Yeah.
I'm just glad I didn't get into Star Trek when I was a little younger and had some money. I've been broke all the
time. You mean like me?
Yeah, like the rest of us. Okay.
I spent quite a bit on Star Trek growing up, just some toys and collectibles, comic books, stuff like that. It's a big $billion franchise for Paramount and CBS. It always has been.
All right, guys. Beat me up, Scotty.
Yes,
all right. Take care, buddy.
Live long and prosper. Talk to you later. Bye-bye. Kirk out.
Of course, he never said, beam me up, Scotty.
Not that way. He didn't.
Nope.
He said, Scotty, beam me up. He said, beam us up, energize. But no, beam me up. We can talk about those logos from shows like even Star Wars. Luke, I am your father. He never said that.
He says, no, I am your father.
I'm your father. So yeah,
they changed it on me. They went back and took all the DVDs off the shelf and rearranged it, and just to mess with me. It couldn't be that I misremembered
and
it.
Biggs was in Star Wars. I remember seeing him with Luke before he left Tatooine. He was standing with him. I'm like, no, maybe you saw a photo, a production still of Biggs on Tatooine because they did put him here and there. So
I had a storybook, a kid's storybook with the live action photos.
Was there a picture of Biggs
and there was a picture of Biggs.
That's where they
met, and that's why I was like, where did Biggs go?
Yeah.
And I had another one with Empire Strikes Back. I'm like, when did those abominable snowman thing attack them in the base? Yeah. I swear I remember seeing a picture of them attacking him in the base.
You see, this is the kind of stuff we talk about on this show for 2 hours. Now it's come to an end. It's noon now, so it's time to sign
I'm not
off
going.
And say Kirk out. But you know what? We'll repackage this thing. I'll add some bionic parts to it and turn it into a podcast. And you can hear it on SoundCloud, Anchor, and YouTube. Listen for it. It's the BK on the Air podcast. We'll see you all next week. It's BK on the Air.
Don't ever tell a lie and say your prayers at night before you go to bed. And so, as our friends south of the border could say, adios, amigos.